Hey, it's Danny here. So, I've touched on this before, but people keep asking me to talk a little bit more about how I got into the adult industry. So, it started, I want to say the summer after my freshman year of college. This would have been 2018. Um, I was driving through Atlanta with some family, of course, going on Grindr
Oh
like some guys
my.
do on a road trip, seeing who was nearby. I distinctly remember seeing a guy who looked like a sexy Waluigi, and I still think about him sometimes. Anyway, it was near Atlanta. I got asked if I'd ever done by someone. It turns out it was someone from Sean Cody, and they said they were interested in using me. Until they asked if I had tattoos, and I told them I had 7, so then they just weren't interested anymore. Which is kind of funny because Sean Cody does have guys with tattoos, but I think that's more of a newer thing. And then it started with guys who were more regulars there who ended up getting some. Or maybe I just didn't fit their image of a tatted guy because they want their younger, smaller, twinkier guys to not have tattoos. I don't know. I haven't talked with any of the producers there or many people who have filmed with them. So, whatever. Time passes. I, in usual gay man fashion, have hookups here and there with different people. Some one night stands, some more regular, until my sophomore year of college. Now, at this point, people had told me a few times that they would pay to watch me in the bedroom, that I seemed to really know what I was doing. I was great to look at. They liked just my attitude, the way I carried myself sexually, the amount of sensuality I had, how I really engaged with them. And this is people saying this after having firsthand experience with me. And I always just took it as a compliment, like, until very early spring of 2019. I kind of was just in bed one night after hearing it for, I don't know, like the 10th time or something. It was probably actually like 5 or 6 times. But it crossed my mind. Am I too good to do porn? Do I think I'm too good to do porn? Do I think less of someone because they do it? Is adult film something I could see myself doing? And I started thinking about this stuff much more seriously, about how I had a real interest in it, especially in exploring it as an art form. And at this time, I had an extreme interest in psychology, and I figured a lot of people get a bad rap when they do adult work, especially adult film work, and once they become well known, because people recognize them, they get ostracized, they may have issues finding jobs, people just look at them differently. And I have never been somebody who's actually incredibly sexual. I don't have the highest sex drive, especially for someone my age. And I actually consider myself to be demisexual ahead of homosexual. I care more about the connection with someone, and I only really get like a super strong state of arousal if I know someone well and have been intimate with them before and have like a nice personal connection. Of course, if somebody like does it for me, gets my gears going, then it's still gonna work. Anyway, so I thought about it for a while. I decided I wanted to explore it. I wanted to see if anybody would actually hire me, any studios would want me, and I'd heard of the fan sites, but that just wasn't on my radar so much. So, after much deep thought, I decided I wanted to explore the world of adult work and see what it changed about my perspectives on life, on people, on relationships, on intimacy. So, in about mid-spring 2019, maybe April or so, I started applying to websites. The 2 specific ones I started with were Fraternity X and Sketchy Sex. This is just because this was websites I had heard of and I thought I could possibly fit the image being an actual guy in college. So I applied, didn't hear anything back. Then I applied to another one I really liked, Guys in Sweatpants. And after a couple weeks, I got an email back from Austin Wilde himself, one of my icons. Really part of the reason I got into the industry. And he said that they were all booked up coming up. Whether that's true or not doesn't really matter. He really gave me an in. He referred me to his friend Shane Frost, who had Frost Models, an agency representing adult film performers, mainly homosexual adult film performers. So I talked to him, signed him on a contract, and he began looking for bookings. Now, I could only really film over the summer because I'd have to travel. There wasn't really much work in terms of studios up near me in Chicago. Uh, and he found somebody who was interested in me, college dudes. Now, they are based in Atlanta and wanted to be my first studio. They really wanted to have that. But it was getting closer to it, and I was getting excited. And Shane tells me that they have something going on. I, to this day, don't know what it was, but they had to postpone the shoot. I'm like, okay, sure. If it's a little while, that's fine. So a little bit of time goes by. It's supposed to be a month later, in July. It gets postponed again and again. Now, because this was progressively postponed, I didn't say anything to him, but looking back, I would have told him, I don't care that they want to be my first. I want to get into this industry, and I want to be able to record as much as I can while I can, since I can't during the academic year. I really wished I had, because, of course, I recorded with them 5 scenes for 2 different websites, College Dudes and, what's it called, Boy Gusher, I believe. That one was like in a forest with Casey Owens. It was a lot of fun. It was great guys. I had a good time. I was super nervous. I learned a lot about myself. But it ended up happening right before school started. But Carnal Media, who apparently had seen some of my photos in my applications floating around the internet, they were really interested in me, but they weren't able to grab a hold of me before Shane Frost got me. But I did a shoot with them, which normally they like to test their bottoms out beforehand to make sure they can handle the rigor of the filming that they do, especially because they have such large men and it's small boys. But I was kind of a last minute one, so they brought me in and it went really well, I thought. Then, of course, school started again and I only had 2 shoots under my belt. Winter break, I'm not really getting anything. Shane's not communicating all that often. He lives in the same city as me, or at least adjacent to me, but we never actually meet in person. And as I hear more and more about the industry, as I get more and more into it, I start hearing rumors that he's involved in stuff that kind of takes him away from work, and that if I really want to meet him, I have to go to Steamworks or something. Like, he messaged me on Grindr. I don't know if he realized I was one of his, models or not, but whatever. Then, March 2020 comes. I've only done 2 shoots, I've been in school, and everything shuts down. At this time, I actually had a scene booked with Men.com, and I think it was another small studio of theirs called Reality Dudes, 1 scene in LA and 1 scene in Atlanta, and they were supposed to be like within a week of each other, but less than a week beforehand, lockdown started, so those were canceled. I've tried to reach out to them since, and that really hasn't come to anything. They said like, oh, well, if you want to fly yourself down here, we can do fan site content, but I don't make enough money to just fly anywhere I want and record. Like, I can't support that. And I'm starting to get to that point now, but at that time, especially, no. I was in college. All my money went towards my education, and I just didn't have the spare funds. My family doesn't have a lot of money, especially for things like that. So that was when I started on the fan sites. First OnlyFans, and then not long after, Just for Fans. I actually started my Twitter while I was at my first shoot for College Dudes, and that has grown considerably since, and it's expanded into everything I'm doing now, including being here on YouTube. So I started on the fan sites, and that took a long time to get anywhere substantial. I actually only in the past few months have been able to pay my rent with it, which is why I've turned away from go-go dancing as much, because with this I get to really control my hours, control who I work with, and I get to make the art that I want to. I still like to go-go dance every now and then, but I've restricted that to 1 location, although I may expand that in the future. So, the pandemic happens. It's starting to get towards the end of the year contract, and Shane Frost is MIA. I knew other people who were represented by them, and I started to see those models turning towards other agents, more specifically Howard Andrew of Fab Scout. Now, I actually got to meet Howard, but we'll all get to that in a minute. Eventually, I send Shane an email that says, like, from 1 month from now, you are no longer my agent. That's that. He hadn't contacted me, hadn't gotten any bookings, so enough was enough. I was managing myself, and honestly, I'm not the best at that. I'm not very outspoken about promoting myself, and I don't like to just I don't like to contact people over and over and over again. I figure that if they want to work with me, they want to work with me, and they'll express their interest. Right now, I actually am about to reach out to a bunch of people after going through some health treatment that prevented me from working, to hopefully do more work, so maybe you'll see me in more stuff soon. But I just kind of was doing my own thing, working the fan sites, still in college, starting a new relationship, eventually graduated, moved into the city proper after a little while. And I'm actually still with the guy I got with in my early senior year of college. So the Grabbies last year come around, and there's an event at the bar I work at, Hydrate. I asked Chichi LaRue, actually meeting her that night, I kind of just show up and say like, hey, can I dance for you? Because I don't see myself as being a very big name or anyone substantial. I'm not like an exclusive for any studio, and I don't film for studios often. But she says sure. In the basement of the club where the dancers get ready, I meet Howard. So, I've been just representing myself, mainly doing the fan sites, and honestly not focusing so much on studio work. I haven't gotten any awards. I've never been nominated in the Grabbies. I was nominated for a GayVN, but I didn't go, partially because I was sick at the time, and I knew I wasn't going to win. But I've still been persisting a little bit, and I'm still trying to, come up a little bit, get my reputation in control, get my IBS in control, because it's hard to be a bottom in the adult gay industry when you're a person with ED and IBS. My own issues to work with. It's my choice for this industry. But it kind of brings me to where I am today on the fan sites, kind of slowly creeping into influencer territory, showing off more and more of my own personality, and working with all these wonderful people who I used to watch when I was a teenager, and now they're there with me. They're doing the same work as me. They see me as one of their peers, and I am one of their peers. So that's how I got into the adult film industry. Other people told me I should do it. I did a lot of thinking about it. I didn't really talk to that many people about it, although my whole family does know now. And my dad actually was loosely involved in my work as a member of my LLC before I just dissolved it because he died. So if you're interested in it, you really need to ask yourself, is this what you want to do? Is this something you believe you can be good at? Will it affect your relationship towards intimacy, towards romance, towards sexuality? Are you comfortable enough with yourself? Like, will it be positive for you? And think about anybody you know who's done it before, how they feel about it. If you enjoyed this video or have any more questions, feel free to comment below, and subscribe for more content if you thought this was thought-provoking. I try to do a nice blend of my adult entertainment world, my personal interests like baking and fitness, and I'm getting a little bit into some humor. I've been told that I'm funny, and also that I'm not, so... Alright, see ya.